Alright guys, we are back again, and let's get our shot out of the way, okay? We always do a shot here at the beginning of the video. Whether we have a reason or not, we actually always do a shot, so. But we do have a reason. We are doing a shot. We are doing a shot for the family of guilds in K64. Okay, I'm in K64 right now. I'm the only A to Z guy in K64. So K64, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the family of guilds UM. You guys can see them right here. UM. Shout out to UM. Actually, I have to give an honorary shout out to Escobar, okay? We have to give an honorary shout out to Escobar as well, even though he blows up chat all day. But UM, I want to give a shout out to you guys. Now, before I tell you why I'm giving a shout out to, actually, let's just tell you why we're giving a shout out to them. So K50 started a hashtag Dicks Out for Gasm a long time ago, okay? K50 started Dicks Out for Gasm. Alright, K64 found out about Dicks Out for Gasm, and they started hashtag Vaginas Out for Gasm. Yes, okay? Vaginas Out for Gasm, Dicks Out for Gasm, hashtag, you know, whatever. I love it. It fucking, like, I love these guys in K64. As a matter of fact, let's just tell them to say hi. Say hi to YouTube. Say hi to YouTube. Can I spell? Alright, whatever. So anyways, so K64 started the hashtag Vaginas Out for Gasm, so I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to not only Ghost, I want to give a shout out to Lady, I want to give a shout out to Taco, and I want to give a shout out to Tyrant, okay? They know... RedTube. No, not RedTube. Okay, anyways, this shot is for UM and their family of guilds, okay? Woo! Alright, now, against my better judgment, I got asked quite a few times lately about troop formations, what I build as a T4 player, and why I build it. So let's go over this. Now, the only reason I'm going to go over this is because I'm going to start boosting a little bit here, and I may change up my formation, or my composition, I should say. I may change up my composition just a little bit. So I'm comfortable with sharing where I'm at right now in the game with you guys, because it's not going to affect me here in the near future, okay? So let's go over this. Alright, so here we are. There's my troops. 15 million troops, okay? Almost 15.1 million. You notice 5.7 million range units. Now, for you guys to understand why I'm doing range, look at the formation videos, okay? We'll talk about this here very briefly, but I do have to get going. So we got to make this video super quick, okay? In the infantry phalanx, this is how your troops go. Infantry up front, cavalry second line, and then ranged units are in the back, okay? So your infantry are going to take damage first, then your cavalry will take damage second, and then finally your ranged units will take damage, okay? In cavalry phalanx, your cavalry are up front, then your ranged are second line, and then your infantry are third line, okay? So your cavalry will take damage first. Once that layer is thinned out enough, your ranged are up to bat, and then once, you know, both of these are thinned out enough, then, of course, your infantry are going to be taking damage. Needless to say, in a ranged phalanx, your ranged are up front, okay? We're not going to go over ranged phalanx just because that is that's going to be a whole different ball game from what I am doing, and I may work towards that. I may start working towards being able to use a ranged phalanx. That's my ultimate goal, but at this point I'm not there, okay? So we're not going to talk about ranged phalanx. So anyways, that's the two formations, infantry phalanx and cavalry phalanx. Now let's talk about my troops, okay? So here we go. T1 ranged units, you see I'm at only 5.7 million, okay? It's nothing impressive. 5.7 million, that's where I'm at. T2, let me answer this question, okay? Because somebody asked me, somebody had seen that I had no T2 and they asked why. I don't believe in T2 unless you are trying to run a trap account, okay? If you are trying to run a trap account, yes, you need T2, all right? I'm not running a trap account. Well, at this moment, I'm not building T2, all right? I have not built T2 yet. The reason for this is because, yes, T1 full army, T2 full army is great, you know, sitting in front of your T3s and T4s or whatever, because you could soak rallies, you could soak, you know, well, I guess you're not really going to get solo depending on where you're at as a T4 player, but, you know, as a T3 player, you could soak solo attacks, and as a T4 player, you could use them to soak rallies. However, the amount of money and time that it takes the amount of money and resources it takes to build a big T1 and T2 army is ridiculous, and you lose them so quick. So it's just very costly to run a rally trap. Okay, it's very costly to run a rally trap because you will lose them at such an enormous rate that it will be very expensive to do the upkeep on T1, T2 rally traps. Okay, so that's why I have not done this yet. Okay. T3 troops. Here's my T3 troops. I am a little bit low. This is not where I want to be, but this is my T3 army, okay? I recommend your T3 army in terms of cavalry and infantry being built very close together, okay? And by that I mean they should both be at 2.18 million. As you can see, they're not, okay? Ranged, if you are using ranged as your back line or front line, actually, I guess you really have no choice. Okay, so ranged units should always be a little bit higher than your infantry or your cavalry. Always. Let's just put that out there. You should always have more ranged units than your cavalry or infantry. Okay. And then finally, that brings me to my T4, which you can see once again, I have a little bit more ranged T4 than I do my other T4 troops. Now, one thing you guys are going to notice, I don't have any siege units. That is a big boo-boo on my part. I should build siege units, but I'm not going to yet because I'm not a rally leader, so I don't really give a fuck about siege units at this point. Let's be honest. I don't fucking care about siege units. Alright, so what is the point with having mass T1 ranged? Okay, mass T1 ranged with your ranged either in front or back. It doesn't fucking matter. It accomplishes not really the same thing, but they do the same job, okay? Your T1 ranged units, if you are using an infantry phalanx or cavalry phalanx, they're going to be in the back, okay? They're not going to be front line. They're going to be either in the second or third row on your army's formation. So that is going to allow them to get free shots on the attacking army, okay? So that is why you would build T1 in a mass quantity. And by mass quantity, I'm talking maybe 10 million, okay? 10 million plus on your T1 ranged units, okay? And what we're talking about, guys, this is not necessarily for solo defense, okay? You don't need 10 million to solo fucking defend somebody. Even if you're a T3 player, you don't need 10 million to solo defend, okay? I am talking about eating rallies. This is talking about defending against rallies and not getting burnt so easily, all right? So 5 to 10 million T1 range units, beautiful, all right? We go here. Ideally, I want more T3 range. I'll be building those up here, you know, a little bit, little by little. And then, you know, of course, your T4 range, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, that is my army. You guys can kind of understand why I'm building the way I'm doing it, because I really favor ranged units. I feel they are best when it comes to defending, at least in the grand scheme of things, meaning 60% of the time you're going to have better results with T1, just a T1 flood, okay? Actually, did I say 60% of the time? It's probably closer to, I don't know. From what I've seen, yeah, it's probably closer to maybe 80-85% of the time. Having mass amounts of T1s are really going to make it difficult, more difficult to hurt you than having mass amounts of any other troops, okay? As long as your army is formed around it. But anyways, again, that's my army. That is why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, because I do favor ranged units. I do feel that they are the most successful unit in the game on defense, okay? That, I shouldn't say the most successful. I feel that they are the unit that makes your defense most successful in the game when your army is built around them properly. And again, let's just go over this one quick time. If I'm using infantry phalanx or cavalry phalanx, my archers are protected, my ranged units are protected, which will ultimately make my T3 infantry or T3 cavalry, depending on what phalanx I'm using, it'll make those my meat shields, okay? So you got to keep that in mind too, that your T3s are going to be meat shields, and then, you know, while your ranged are doing a majority of the work. So there's a lot that goes behind this kind of setup, though, because there's jewels, there's talent points, there's gear, there's all sorts of things that go into making this successful. So at face value, this is the troop composition, okay? As the time comes, as the videos come out from me, as I do the videos, God damn, I drank too much. As I start rolling out more videos on this topic, I'm going to start throwing in a little bit more into the logic and the setup for using this kind of formation. Okay, so guys, remember this formation because we'll be talking about the talent points and we'll be talking about the gear. We'll be talking about the jewels here in the near future for running something like this. Okay. If you are only a T3 player, take all this information, just chop out the T4, take this information and work backwards. If you are a T4 player, there you go. Okay. There you go. One thing I want to point out, because this was also asked, let's use cavalry phalanx as a example here. So cavalry phalanx, you know your cavalry's up front, then your ranged, then your infantry, right? All right. Your cavalry does not have to be zeroed for your ranged units to start taking damage. Okay. The way the game works, there's mechanics set in the game. We're not going to get into details. Forget it. We're not going to get into details. Just know we're going to keep it simple here. Your cavalry do not have to be, your T3, T4 cavalry, whatever you have, do not have to be zeroed for your range to start taking damage. There's a setup behind the scenes that I have not nailed down perfectly, but just know the cavalry line formation, whatever you want to call it, just has to be thinned out enough before the game says, hey, infantry, get your ass up here, okay? Or infantry, ranged, get your ass up here. So if you're using like a cavalry formation where cavalry is your front line, cavalry does not have to be zeroed. It just has to be thinned out enough, and then it'll trigger your range units to start taking damage, okay? And the same will apply if you're using infantry phalanx. Your infantry has to be thinned out just enough before your cavalry start taking damage, and so on. I know this was kind of like over talked, and I talked too much here. I was just trying to answer the questions that I got yesterday regarding my army, and you know, a little bit of the logic behind it. I know this was kind of very vague. We're gonna have to go into more detail when it comes to gear, when it comes to talents, and when it comes to jewels, so that you guys can understand what you are trying to do when running, you know, the different phalanxes, okay? And different army compositions. Anyways, that's it for now. I fucking babbled enough. Shout out to UM once again. Shout out to K64. I love you guys. Hashtag, that's my hashtag, by the way. Hashtag dicks out for gasm and hashtag vaginas out for gasm. Which team are you on? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. But I'm not talking to myself, by the way. I'm talking to you. Sometimes I wonder what team you guys are on. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Stay sexy as fuck. I love you guys. And, yeah. Peace out.